Hi everyone. In this video, we will talk about how digitalization can be made easy for Mittelstand. My name is Can, and I am the founder of 360 Digital Transformation. With 360 Digital Transformation, we help small and medium businesses, so Mittelstand, to optimize, digitalize, and automate their business-specific processes. In this episode, my guest is Francesco Fusaro. He is the founder of FUSARO Unternehmensentwickling, and his motto is Digitalisierung, menschlich, umsetzen, which means almost digitalization made easy, and especially for Mittelstand. Without any further ado,
Hi, John. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Can you please introduce yourself and your company?
Of course. My name is Francesco Fusaro, and my company, FUSARO Unternehmensentwickling, is helping companies of the Mittelstand in Germany in digitalization of their business processes.
Thank you for the introduction. I think we have a lot of things in common, also a lot to talk. But before we start, I would like to start with a general question that how do you see the digitalization level in German Mittelstand?
Okay, I'm talking right now to some companies. I'm doing also sales, and I have a lot of insights in my customers' companies. And usually the thing today is we're talking about this in September 2021. The situation is that the companies know very well that they have to digitize their processes, that they have to go on the journey of the digital transformation. But I also see that they are very they're not fearing it, but they are very unexperienced in digitizing their company. So what I experience is they are doing small steps and trying a little bit out, and the definition of digitization of business processes is not a common one where all the companies share the same definition. And that's what I experience is that there is there are often misunderstandings also of digitization, which means I can give you an example. I talked to a company yesterday, and they said we are full in the process of digitization, and we digitized our offer management or our order management, what you call it, And I asked what kind of software they're implementing, and they told me they're implementing an ECM software, basically a software where you can digitize all your documents, And the good software solutions, they have like a little bit of a workflow behind it, so you can model your processes, but you're not digitizing all your business process with it, and that's one of the most common misunderstandings in digitalization in Germany, in the German Mittelstand. And that's my experience. They tried in the past a few things, and what we know about studies, they tell, okay, over 80% of the projects fail. And in my opinion, the biggest mistake or the biggest influence of this is that there is a lack of preparation.
Yeah, I see your point, and thank you for the example. I love examples, and I believe Mittelstand loves the examples because they would like to know exactly how the technology will benefit them. But you said the company that you have talked had an DCM software, or which software was this?
ECM, Enterprise
Content Management.
Enterprise Content Management,
okay.
Also known as, yeah.
Okay, now I understand. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, now I understand.
You also have the abbreviation digital content management system, or
yeah,
it's the most common one, because the digitization, I think, in the Mittelstand started with digitizing the invoice documents.
yeah,
Okay, so that was one of the, when I see companies nowadays, they all have digital invoice systems and processes. They can digitalize their invoices, and that's it. That's basically it. So they have the digital document, and then they transfer it to their ERP system, and
yeah,
but that's the most common one.
yeah,
So many
yeah,
of the companies, many of the companies do think they make a good start of digitizing their business processes by using such a software, and by digitize their documents. But in reality, it's only a small thing to do. You have to have digital documents in order to have to work with digital processes. That's right, but it's only one small part, one supporting part.
yeah, exactly. And just to summarize the first question, to answer to first question is like you said, right now Mittelstand is not afraid of being digitalized. However, they are inexperienced, therefore they don't know either where to start or what to do. By also that means they try to implement small steps, but not necessarily they are serving the big picture of digital transformation. And in your example, you have said that they digitalized, for example, invoicing processes. That's great, but that was already like 10-15 years ago. Writing emails is digital, but that doesn't help the digital transformation. So that was my understanding of the first question.
Yes, and in addition, in Germany, we have a big trend to digitize processes, business processes, whereas in other countries you have more, you start more with the digital strategy, for example, for making a digital transformation roadmap. In Germany, we start with digitizing our processes, and it's a good thing. I think it's a good start to start a bit, but you have to choose the right processes. And I'm helping my clients to choose the right processes, which are the process with the most impact, monetary impact. And that's the main difference. Also, we know that from studies that German managers tend to decide more often and within a shorter period of time, which was a bit of a surprise for me when I read the study. It was from Bitkom or from, I don't remember right now. But it was a study where they say they are within 8 hours in average, a German manager can decide or will decide a strategic decision, like also like doing a digitization project, and their colleagues in other countries are taking a bit more time, up to 10 or 12 hours to make this decision in average, which is a huge gap. So, and that's also my experience, because what I see is when I start working with a company, they did something in the past. It's easy because, or it's obvious because they started. For example, one of the most common thing also is they started to implement the clouds for the data storage, like SharePoint from Microsoft or something like that. And what they experienced was it didn't work. And it was like 10 years, 12, 15 years ago, they started these kind of projects. And when I'm starting with a company to work with them, then in the beginning, I don't know much about their past, but I'm digging deep into it and I'm asking them and what they did in the past. And then the management will not say it, but the employees mostly tell me when I'm doing interviews or I'm, you know, talking when we have a cup of coffee or something like that, that they did something in the past, but they failed.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, you know, German companies tend to make decisions faster, and when they decide something, they go full in, and then they say, okay, I put money in it and it will work, but it won't, and then they're disappointed, you know. But you cannot save, you cannot solve anything with money. You have to have a good plan, and I'm providing this plan for my customers.
Exactly. And that brings me to my next question. How does your company help Mittelstand? And it's a great bridge because you stopped and says, I help like this. And now it's time to yeah, elaborate this a little bit.
Okay. I started the digitization business consulting in 2011 without knowing it. Okay, we did this right from the start when I started in 2011 with a business partner. Now since 2018 I founded the company alone. I left the partner because we had different strategic visions. But we did this kind of consulting from the beginning. We were so much into process consulting, process analysis, process modeling, stuff like that. Nearly in every project, this was the topic. And it helped us understand the customer. It helped us understand business models, even our own business model. And what we did was, in the beginning, we implemented little piece of software, for example, for calculating offers, or for calculating time in the production line or something like that. Yeah, for planning the production line. And also, I think we made in 2013-14 the first digital process systems. We fed them with processes from customers. There was the first time where you could you know, have a business process management system online with a web app. So I think in 2012, 13, 14, this was the start for this kind of software. And today, a few months ago, you had Signavio selling to SAP for over 1 billion yeah, 1 billion euros. You know, so that was the beginning, and we did these kind of consulting services, which means we conducted the processes, we modeled the process with the customer, and then we transferred it in the digital world, making it useful for the customer to improve the processes every time. So without knowing it, we kind of slipped in the digitization market. And when I was fully aware of it, it was a few years after that, because the part of the software implementation was much bigger, because we bought much bigger software right now. And that was the part when I saw that so many things could go wrong. Mm-hmm. And the biggest leverage you have is in the beginning of the project, for being honest, before you start. And a good plan is one of the best things you can provide for a project team, you know. And a good plan starts with an idea. So basically, that's what we are doing right now in the beginning, when we are in the situation that we can start a project with our customer, because it's not every time the same situation. Sometimes they call me and they just have started a project, and it's difficult to you know, to redo the preparation, yeah, or to reorganize the project properly, yeah. Because once a team is going starting to work, it's hard to stop them. But when I have the opportunity to help a customer from the beginning, then it's a good thing, because we can create much more value and have a much better risk management than when we start without, you know, thinking about it. And I would not, this is the last sentence, I would not say that my customers are not planning well, but they are often surprised by the complexity of such a project, even if it's in their eyes a small project, you know.
Yeah, I know it very well, but even in construction, nobody wants to build a house that somebody else started because
Exactly.
of the consequences.
Yeah.
And I always preach digital transformation in three pillars, but there are two prerequisites for these three pillars. The first one is the digital strategy, digital purpose. And then you have the value proposition. Once they are
Yeah.
there, you start with people, then you continue with processes, and at the end, you choose the technology covering all those aspects. And what I just wanted to add, Francesco, is that I see a lot of CTOs, CDOs heard about cool technologies, right? Like
Yeah.
robotic process automation, process mining, and they would like to implement this. And I
Yeah.
love these people with passion, these people with technology alike. However, that's the last thing we need to do. We need to step back and do
Yeah.
exactly like you
Right.
said. Do this thinking, and then we can implement something. Because as we spoke, unless we have a strategy in place, what we will do will be a tiny little part, but won't cover the whole aspect. Just wanted to add that. And I think
Yeah.
here we can speak about my favorite part of the podcast, use cases. Please give us
Yeah.
some use cases with your clients, with your Mittelstand clients, especially. And that's my favorite part.
Perfect. Yeah, I totally agree with you with the technology part. And addition, maybe there's one thing that you have to know, and I think that everybody knows it, but it's difficult to conduct it. Every digitalization project or digitizing project is also a change management project. There is no digitalization without change management. Okay, so that's the thing everybody needs to understand. Even if you're doing a small thing, a small project, or implementing a small piece of software, but you have to be aware that the user, they have a big impact on this. And therefore, you have to start talking to the users in the beginning. It's easy to say, and for me, it's easy to conduct, but I am experiencing that the collaboration in these projects in the beginning is very low from department to department. Okay, good. Talking about case studies or use cases. Okay, I will start with a more general perspective by having a look at my ideal clients. Okay, what are they doing? In which branches are they, and what are they, facing? Which situation are they facing right now? My customers doubled or tripled at least their turnover and the number of employees in the last 10 to 15 years. And what I experienced was that my customers altogether, you can name it, even if it doesn't matter if it's a company with 500 employees or 1,500 employees, they all did one thing in the beginning of the year of the 2000 years, 2001, 2, 3, the beginning of the new millennium. Some of us will know the millennials and the millennium and the transition from 1999 to 2000,
Yeah.
And then they began to implement an ERP system, which basically 80-90% of the time is, of course, we know, SAP. But this was the last big IT and digitalization project my customers conducted. So they worked 20 years, around about 15 to 20 years, 2 decades nearly, with the same tools. Okay, that's the actual situation of my customers. And in the past few years, like 5 years, they started to implement little piece of software. For example, for their field service, they started to implement a mobile app, okay, that they can conduct, or they can take pictures of the building site and fill out reports and stuff like that and track their time. So, and one of the biggest use cases I want to share with you is in the construction branch, where I started, analyzing processes in the Tiefbau segment. I don't know how to say it in English, Tiefbau, which basically means anything you won't see on the street, which is underneath the street, and providing you with every medium you use in your house or in your office, like
so it's basically the aisles they do, and to give a stable infrastructure to the building.
Yes, exactly. Like power cables, or water tubes, or stuff like that. So this company has over 1,000 employees, and they basically worked in 12 different offices in the southern part of Germany. With basically, they organized all their orders, all their work with the customers, the communication with the customers over Microsoft Outlook and Microsoft Excel. Okay, so you know what it means when you have to consolidate all these different Excel documents by the end of a month or by the end of a year, because you have to make a financial report out of it, So that was the situation. I started to analyze their processes, and I included nearly every department of the company in the first steps. That was very crucial for me. I want to have the employees speak in the beginning, and not the managers, because with the managers I have the first contact. We make the contracts, we talk about budgets, about time and stuff like that. But in the beginning, I have a tool case of different methods for conducted processes, for example. But in the beginning, I don't know which kind of methods I use for this special individual case. It's after the first interviews with some of the employees, and when I realize which method I want to bring in. Okay. Mm-hmm. So in this case, I knew, okay, they're decentral organized, and they have over 1,000 employees. And I tried to include from every department at least one person. So now we were like 30 to 40 people making big workshops, process workshops. And it was a whole another work for them, because it was the first time where these people spoke on or discussed processes, but they knew each other for decades now, So it was the first big game changer within the company, to bring them all together and to have a method where they only talked about the processes. They did not do small talk. They did not go out for making a phone call. They were committed to it. Mm-hmm. And it was not because the management says you have to. They also said it because I told them, please make sure that your people is informed and is also committed and also know what kind of an impact this project will have. Because in the beginning, they didn't know which impact, how big the impact would be. So this was the first step. After that, after we gained, clarity about what to do, which processes to digitize, we started to think about the actual, what is it called? Anforderungen in English.
Requirement.
The requirements, thank you. The actual requirements for the function of the software. Because what I see often is also today, a company wants to digitize their processes, and the first or the second thing they do, they talk with software companies. They think they would fit, and they ask the software companies, okay, what can you do for us? We have this problem. What can you do for us? Can you provide us with a solution? And I'm also a salesman. Okay. I have a salesman, mindset, and as a salesman, I can sell you a lot of things. The problem is, can I also stick to the things I said, to the things I said to the customer? And the software companies, it's a hard market out there, and they're fighting for customers, of course. Then I do not know a single software salesman who would say, no, we cannot do this. They say, okay, well, this is our standard. This we can do with, programming. And if we don't, if we cannot do it in-house, then we have partners which can do it, or who can do it. So, and it's the first time where the customer is misled, and the plan made in the past will not fit, because the strategy of the software company is taking place. What we are doing is we are also talking to software companies, but I provide my customers and the software company with a communication strategy, or a communication platform, which would be that we would file up the requirements of the software, of the functions of the software. And with these requirements, we go out and talk to companies, and we test them very well. And the feedback from the customer, as well as the software companies, is in every project very good. And there I have a standardized process which I can implement in every company, no matter if they have a big purchasing department or not, if they are experienced in buying software for, let's say, €1 million or not. I can provide it with the perfect solution in that case. So that was the case. What I did also with them after modeling the processes all together with the employees, we started to write down the requirements, and then what I did was I tried to match the process with the requirements with the actual workplaces, which meant that I went to many workplaces, and I talked to the persons who are doing the process steps every day. And I tried to validate the process in that way. And it worked very well. And that's my style of, starting such a digitalization project, is to make bigger workshops, but in a short period of time. And then to validate the outcome with the real world on their desk, on the working place, and that turned out to be a pretty good process. And basically, that's what I do.
Yeah. Thank you for the comprehensive explanation. Just for me to summarize for the audience is that you start with the strategy, including the stakeholders from the customers, and then you run process discovery workshops but not only with management, but also with process owners, with process executors, so who really does the job. And then if there is a software needed, you provide the framework for this software provider to fit in the company. And at the end of the day, you also go hands-on and check with the employees who is living the changed or digitalized process. So for my understanding, that's a summary and of your use case and what you typically do. As then my last question would be, what's your top suggestion for Mittelstand managers and owners to apply right away, Francesco?
Okay. First of all, that was a perfect summary, John. You very well did this. Okay. What's my perfect recommendation? The most important recommendation for or suggestion for German Mittelstand managers in terms of starting the digitization process or starting their journey on their digital transformation. Yeah, it's simple. Start and start right. Okay. What does it mean? We say our claim is in German. We don't have it in English, so I have to tell you in German. Digitalisierung, menschlich, umsetzen, which means for me, basically, that's my way of looking at the digitalization world is without any human being, there will be no digitalization, okay? No digital transformation, because as you said it a few minutes ago, there have to be owners of processes, of departments, of projects, you know, and so the people are right in the middle of this of my framework of beginning with digitalization. And that is often one of the biggest challenges for managers in the beginning, because they know their employees very well. They also did projects in the past together. And the problem is, sometimes they failed with these projects and the employees are not willing to be open for a new one. So that's the I think the most crucial part in the beginning. So my suggestion would be begin with the people which are more likely to support you in the field. Yeah, okay. And it's the first step of the first steps of change management theory is basically you have a demand, you know, you have a situation where you have kind of a small crisis. Starts with for example, customers are not that satisfied like they were a few years ago, because you are not delivering in time, or your quality is going down a little bit of the output. And then you start thinking, okay, what do I have to do? And you know, listening to the employees, listening to customers would be the first step. And that's what my recommendation is, to sum it up. You know, start right. Start right means talk to the people, and talk to a different kind of diverse, how do you call it, Durchschnitt, average kind of people in your company, but also other stakeholders. And then you are you can start. You know, you have to have a good process, you have to have a good project plan, but basically that's it. And it depends also on if you on your situation, if you had done some thinking, had done some strategic thinking also. Do you have a digital strategy or not? But it doesn't matter at the end, because you have to start. There is no other option but to start with.
Yeah, thank you for the top suggestion, Francesco. And what we also see is, as you said, change management is digital transformation is change management. Therefore, not only technologically, but also psychologically, quick wins are so important. Therefore, we always suggest to start with a high ROI, but that's a quick win. So maybe the low-hanging fruit, maybe a little bit of digitalization, but people will see the results. And even though they failed in the past, they could be motivated with the new wins, and that could go bigger and bigger. So that's my also 2 cents on the topic.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. And how people can find you, Francesco?
Okay, you can find me, of course, on LinkedIn under my name. You can find me on fusaro.eu, which you can put a link on or in the description of the video or something like that. And also if you want to contact me, there's a contact formula. You can also make a meeting with me, a video call. We can put the link in the description. But basically, that's it. That are my channels, and the probability that some of you will be contacted by me is probably high. So also outbound, there is a possible way of making contact.
Thank you, and thank you for this valuable information, Francesco. It was nice.
Thank you, John. It was nice being here. Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao. Thanks.
I release one episode every Tuesday at 7:45 a.m. and also other videos for digital transformation. If you like the content, please subscribe, and you can reach me out anytime by my email. Here it is. And thank you for visiting my channel.